Welcome to the Pixels and Projects podcast. Today's episode was inspired by a team member that reminded me of how easy it is to get stuck on the negative and how powerful it is when you focus on the positive during difficult projects. Right, Johnson?
That's right, Jody. When a project gets bogged down, deadlines slipping, team morale taking a nosedive, it's almost like this invisible weight just settles in, right?
Yep, absolutely. You can feel it everywhere. In the Slack channels, meetings, even in how people respond to emails. It's like the air gets heavier or something.
Right, and it's not just perception. Science backs this up. Negativity bias, which is this innate tendency in our brains to give way more attention to the bad stuff, is always lurking. When mistakes or setbacks happen, leaders aren't just fighting tangible delays, they're undoing the psychology of the entire room.
Yeah, and I mean, negativity bias made sense for our ancient ancestors with, actual threats. But today, it just wreaks havoc in your video conferences.
Exactly. What's fascinating is how intentional a leader has to be to counter it. There was this one tech project. You'd love this, Jody.
Oh, wait, we're talking tech? I'm all ears.
Yeah, so this project was hitting all the roadblocks, vendor issues, timeline crunches, you name it. The project leader started a ritual, a simple 5-minute win spotlight at the beginning of weekly meetings. Team members were encouraged to share something they were proud of, no matter how small.
That's interesting. So hey, I finally figured out how to fix that API integration, stuff like that.
Exactly. And what happened was, little by little, it changed the tone. People started looking for wins during the week just to share them. It shifted the focus from constantly firefighting to recognizing, hey, we're actually solving problems here.
It's so simple, but wow, it's powerful. It's almost like they reprogrammed their brains or something.
That's a great way to look at it. And it's not about being blindly optimistic, but creating a counterbalance to all the negativity.
So true. I've seen other teams dive into this idea by using a Slack or Teams channel just for wins. Someone solves this gnarly vendor issue, and boom, it's in the winning channel for everyone to see. It's like contagious energy.
Absolutely. Structured rituals like that are what make the difference. Just recognizing those small wins builds resilience. When that happens, you're not only facing problems, you're energizing your team to tackle them together.
Yep.
So we've seen how recognizing those small wins can build resilience and energize a team. But here's the thing about positivity. It's powerful, yes, but used the wrong way, it can backfire in all the worst ways.
Oh, I know where you're going. You're talking about toxic positivity, right?
Exactly. That tendency to gloss over real frustrations with cheerleading cliches like, it'll all work out, or let's focus on the bright side. I mean, it's this kind of false optimism that can leave your team feeling dismissed and even more frustrated.
Yep, one time during a big software deployment, this was years ago, the client kept changing requirements mid-project. It was a mess. The team was so burned out and, well, I'll admit it, I tried to do the rah-rah routine to keep morale up, but
What happened?
they kind of shut down on me. No one wanted to talk during meetings. It wasn't until I said, these changes are exhausting, and it's okay to feel frustrated, that things shifted. I mean, they needed to hear their feelings weren't being dismissed before anything else could move forward.
That's such a great point. Dismissing frustrations, even unintentionally, erodes trust. It's like you're telling people their struggles don't matter, or worse, that they're not valid.
Right, and this doesn't mean wallowing in negativity. It's about striking that balance. One tip I've found helpful? Swap out but for and. Instead of saying, we missed the deadline, but we're making progress, you say, we missed the deadline, and we're making progress. That little shift makes a big difference.
I love that. It's such an inclusive way to handle things, acknowledging the challenge without minimizing it. That's where real leadership shows up, I think. It's just like we talked about, acknowledging those frustrations openly. Once you do that, the real leadership move is to ask, what can we learn from this? And sometimes the answer to that question can redefine the entire project.
Oh, I agree. So you're saying even when things go really sideways, there's still a nugget of value there somewhere.
Exactly. Let me tell you about a team I worked with. We were launching a new product, and it was chaos. Deadlines missed, features getting dropped, stakeholders frustrated.
Man, sounds like a nightmare already.
It was. But here's the part I want to focus on. The project lead, I'll give him credit, took the mess as an opportunity to reflect with the team. They did this in-depth review, not after the project finished, but during it. Turns out the root of the delays was process inefficiency in how decisions got escalated. They fixed it midstream, and what that did was not just save this project, but improve how they approached every other one after. It was
Fantastic. So they basically paused during the failure to learn from it and then applied those lessons right away. That's gutsy, but wow, that's smart.
Yeah, it's gutsy, but good leadership often is. And what's interesting is how the act of doing that review shifted the team's mindset. They went from feeling defeated to seeing themselves as problem solvers. That reframing flipped everything.
That's powerful. And it goes back to the idea of balance, right? Like acknowledging the pain of the setback, but also showing the silver lining without sugarcoating it.
Exactly. Balance is everything. You need realism and optimism in equal parts. Too much of one without the other, and you're either stuck in defeat or floating on false hope.
Okay, so if there's one thing I think listeners should take from that, it's that leadership isn't about perfection. It's about guiding your team to see failure as a stepping stone. And that takes empathy, perspective, and, well, guts.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Leadership is messy. But when you create an environment where your team isn't afraid of setbacks, where they can learn and grow through them.
That's when the magic happens.
And that's all for today. On that note, Jody, great talking as always.
Same here. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to the Pixels and Projects podcast. Remember to share this episode and comment on how you overcame the trap of negativity during a difficult project, or tell us if any of these takeaways helped you break that cycle. Until next time, y'all.